cam kết biết rửa khó lên. Ơi giời ơi, cam cùng này mất hết. Sao lại mất cam rồi? Ui. Nhưng mà cam đâu ấy nhở? Ê. Cứ thế thôi. Cứ thế thôi. Xử lý rất là lâu. Mất cái thời gian. Nhầm. Xin lỗi, nhầm. Ôi chết rồi. Lại mất màn hình bên cạnh rồi. Gì nữa vậy ba? No signal rồi. Ơi. Tuột dây. Nó là tuột dây. Đây rồi, ok. Yes sir. Ok, hôm nọ là mình học đến cái đoạn là mình xem và mình nghe cái mình phân tích đúng không? Bây giờ là mình move on, mình tiếp tục cái bài học hôm nọ. Trước khi tiếp tục thì tôi phải thông báo với các bạn rằng buổi học ngày hôm nay sẽ chỉ khoảng nửa tiếng đến 1 tiếng thôi. Đấy, bởi vì một lát nữa tôi sẽ phải đi làm. Tối hôm qua thì tận 11 giờ mới về đến nhà. Nói chung là 11 giờ mới về nhà nhầm, 11 giờ. Thì 11 rưỡi bắt đầu mới xong mọi việc. Xong rồi 12 giờ đến giờ đi ngủ. Nói chung là ngủ hơi sâu. Hôm nay là 11 rưỡi 10. Đúng rồi, chiều khoảng 30 phút thôi. Anh em thông cảm nhá. Mình học 30 phút, mình học kiểu cuốn gói, cuốn chiếu. Ok.
I don't lie. Go and I no, I twice a week is like my.
Nọ mình học đến đây rồi đúng không?
I've told her to show it. Very difficult. But she didn't realize this when she was going through it, did she? It did hurt her. She hit her head and did he... Well, she wasn't
Ok.
saying
Nó ở đây, từ đây.
That, and that's why I made
a murder. Well, in your beginning, she came in. She was walking
Áo
to
ải.
the...
Drawing the subconscious.
stations now.
So we...
Well, what are you, Saint Germain?
Hôm
This
nọ
is
anh
not
em mình
being
skip
like
qua
you.
cái này sao nhở?
A lot of the questions...
Of what she has
À
to
đây.
say.
Đó, lesson 6 hôm nay lesson 7. Đấy.
Okay, but before we start, we do want to read this message too. Because a lot of you, you've been coming up with the same questions, even though I've tried to explain what the subconscious is, what I call the subconscious, the higher self, the SC. It's very hard for you to grasp it, even when you've heard me play that. So there's always a lot of questions. And so she's going to explain how it happened that she came up with this where it makes it much easier to understand. But let's read this first. This was at a class in Norwich.
Norwich, England.
In England. We were doing a class there. And it's the same thing. Everybody's always wanting to know, what are we working with? This was a class in Norwich, England. And we were just getting ready to do the demonstration. We had the person lying on the cot, and the class was all... Okay, but before we start...
And I felt it as it was coming out it. And then I feel this, something brushed against my cheek.
À.
Oh, that's cool. I had never had that before. I hear, I see, and I feel energy. A brush on the cheek or anything like that was new to me, and I just thought, oh, that's cool. And then this man across the room, he's over there writing. Well, that wasn't unusual for him. He's just always doing that, okay? After the session, he wanted to share. He said, right before we started, a being, and he channels, and so he sees the beings and everything. He said a being came in the room, and it came right to me and started delivering this message. So he was writing it down as soon as he could, and as fast as he could, and then he shared it. What was cool was, I felt it as it was coming in the room. So
He said it came from that same direction.
it came
Đây
from
là
the
một
door.
cái
Not that it
feedback
needed a door,
của
but
đây là cái feedback của cái bà trợ giảng này, thì bà ấy nói về cái vấn đề là khi mà làm việc đấy thì mình nghe mình cảm giác như là cái, đúng không, nếu tôi nhớ không nhầm thì là đến đoạn đấy. Tức là cái kiểu cảm giác này, thấy là cái higher self, tức là cái tôi cao hơn của mình đang đến gần.
North England.
In England, we were doing a class there.
And I believe before this drawing came. So
Yeah.
it's interesting when I've looked back at when these things came in. I believe they happened about it. I felt it as it was coming in the room. So
He said it came from that same direction.
it came from the door.
Ok, thì chúng ta hôm nay, cái buổi ngày hôm nay là vẽ lại subconscious, tức là vẽ lại cái tiềm thức.
Not that it needed a
Để
door.
vẽ tiềm thức.
We serve mankind because that's what we've been asked to do.
Chúng tôi phục vụ loài người nhé, mankind. Bởi vì đấy là những cái gì mà chúng tôi sinh ra để làm.
Our goal is for all of you.
Mục đích của chúng tôi là cho tất cả các bạn transform into the light, tức là biến đổi vào trong ánh sáng.
You to transform into the light. Now, there are a lot of people are always saying, I work with the guides and the masters and the guardian angels. And they talk about Saint Germain, Michael, and all of that. But you asked one time about that. And
Well,
not
this one person was making, I work with Saint Germain, that's got to be the highest. And we were like, well, we know, remember, this is evolving. And so we're always refining what it is we're doing here. And at that time, so I'm like, well, what are you, Saint Germain? I mean, ask. Just ask, and you'll get an answer. So I was like, well, what are you, Saint Germain? He says, I'm a being like you. Okay.
We call them ascended masters, but they were just beings going through their reincarnational cycles, and they get to the point they don't have to come back anymore, and so they call them ascended masters. But they're just beings. That's important to know. They said, we work on a level far above guides and spirits, even above the level you call ascended masters. Because some people say when they do this, well, I'm going to ask to speak to their guide or guardian angel rather than the subconscious. You're not going to get the same kind of information.
You'll get information, but you can get more. Okay, that's what we're telling you.
And she's going to explain where these are in this whole level. But we work on the level far above spirits and guides, even above the level you call ascended masters. If this vibration was brought into your body, you would not be able to cope with this type of energy. It's like putting a spinning top into a body. And one time they told me if we were to come into this room in full force, the entire room would explode. So that's why they just give you little measured pieces of it. We work with symbols because it's easier for us to communicate this way. We thank you for being part of this experiment, as we call it. For we both benefit from what's happening here today. So they're learning every time we have a class. Okay, that make it a little easier? Now she's going to go further, tell what happened, how you got yours then.
Right, now I believe it was the same year, 2009. We were in Sydney, Australia. I'm usually in the back of the room working. That's just what I do, and she's over here teaching, and I'm listening and half doing, I do several things at once. And they're in this part of the class and they're talking about what the subconscious is, and she's like, it's so big and it's so huge, but it knows everything about everyone and everything, you know, each person, and it knows everything, and then specifically you, and yes, but what exactly? And they're just going back and forth, and all of a sudden I got this visual, this beautiful visual laid out in front of me. I mean, and I was going, that's cool. That explains it all. And they're like, well, draw. And I said, no, I got it. That's what I needed. That's what I was trying to find. That's what I was trying to get understood. That's every single class. No, I have to understand. And any shape of this picture and the proportion of your body, all right? The classes said it was very important, the message he got, because see how I'm him for work, and it goes right to them. Doing you, yes, it's one thing. Okay, you, well, first to do. Like doing, okay, that's me, and this is them. All right? Now, after all this time, it's kind of all merged, and I've been told it's all integrated into one, and it all comes in. I trust it. I totally trust the answer. I mean, I still get confirmation now. I don't need it. That's okay. You still get it. What I know now is it was always them, and who was them? Me. So it was always that. Okay? So, but I think it's healthy to go through those steps to get to that realization, being able to see.
They don't answer.
Yeah, but the multifacets of the
message you're always telling me is the universe is simple. The universe is not complicated. If you start getting complicated, you know, people, you know, you get complicated explanations for things, that's what? Mr. Stupid, trying to look smart and important, okay? The universe is simple.
Now, because she can't, the people will come from the little town.
I think we covered most of, there's a lot more to it, but most of the parts about the different illnesses and what they represent. When you have somebody that has a different disease or illness in a part of their body. I think we covered a lot of that this morning, so you'll be able to make that connection. But there are some more things that I wanted to bring up, and I think when you get into questions, you may have more also. One thing that I've noticed, if you're going into a past life, is you may see It has the answers to everything. This is where I write my books, because all I have to do is come up with the questions. It has the answers to absolutely meditation. Well, now we're going to go into the induction part. And like I was saying, talking about the way the body goes to sleep. Now, whenever the person begins to go under, it's very important that you monitor the body at all times. There are some hypnotists that don't know you're supposed to watch every movement the body makes. You're constantly monitoring the body of the person the entire time they are in trance, the whole session. Some hypnotists don't know that. They sit on the other side of the room taking notes. One guy said he's sitting there smoking a cigar, taking notes, but they always go up and sit on it. They don't. My little screen that he's made. He got a lot of it.
A little self-conscious to do that. So
You're going to be able to send, you know, nobody can feel that way.
It would create.
If I were to say
flowers and don't call them the ordinary. That was the